In preparing for this discussion, I was selected to review the negative side of influential power. In this discussion, we will be looking at the sources of power that are often seen within an organization and defining what each source of power is. In addition, we will be looking at the negative impacts that can occur when an organization or its team members exercise power and play, quote, political games. In order to understand what the impact of these political games are, we will be looking at Mintzberg's political game playing framework. Lastly, we will look at examples from my own personal experiences regarding any observed negative impacts to an organization. The 5 sources of power are as follows: coercive, legitimate, referent, expert, and reward. Coercive power is defined as a dependent relationship between the agent and the recipient. In this type of relationship, there is either a real or a perceived threat of punishment if the recipient does not follow every outlined rule or command of the agent. Legitimate power is defined as power that originates from authority and social and cultural norms. This type of power encompasses loyalty and positional rank, which allows the recipient to believe that the agent is exerting the right amount of power. Expert power is defined based off of a recipient's perception of knowledge that the agent has. The power increases based off of a perceived amount of knowledge the agent possesses. Lastly, reward power is defined as a type of power that provides a reward system or positive recognition for the recipient. Although power can have many positive attributions, there are also some negative connotations associated with power. Sometimes leaders abuse their power or are manipulative in their actions. This type of behavior can cause discourse for the team and ultimately problems for the organization as a whole. At times, leaders have been known to use power for their own personal gain rather than the benefit of the entire organization. Also, even with some of the positive types of power and leadership styles and the allowing of collaboration of ideas with the associates of the organization, sometimes giving them too much voice can cause leader problems as well. Henry Mintzberg established a model of organizational behavior as a series of political games and influential parties that represent different agendas of both internal and external groups seeking to obtain control of an organization. When these games occur in a healthcare setting, the organization can either ignore that they are occurring, or they can play along, as some of the behaviors listed can result in positive outcomes for the organization. Working in healthcare, I've been able to experience some of these political games in action. The first example is rival camps. This is where organizational fractions are blaming each other for different occurrences. The best example of this in my career has been doing an annual survey for a building. If a citation was issued for deficient practice, the team would blame one another for the citation instead of finding a productive way to develop a plan to stop the systematic breakdown. This caused discourse amongst the different employees instead of accepting the area of opportunity as a team and sharing these ideas to create a plan of correction. Another example observed was lording, or the flaunting of authority. In the healthcare arena, CMS will often come up with new policies or systems for the long-term care facility to adopt. Although these systems ultimately benefit the patient, doctors often have old-school ways of thinking and are not willing to change practice based on new information or data. I have encountered on multiple occasions doctors telling me as the nurse to complete what he had requested despite the recommendations from CMS, because ultimately he is the doctor and that's what he prefers. Unfortunately, failure to comply with the guidelines of CMS will lead to a citation of deficient practice to the nursing home, not the physician himself. As mentioned above, there are several types of power, and power can be used to either positively or negatively impact the organization. This is where the skills and personality of the leader are imperative to determine whether or not this power will be abused or used to accomplish the goals of the organization. When negative outcomes occur related to the abuse of power or type of power exerted, the organization needs to determine how to resolve these negative outcomes and turn them into positive successes for the company.